Consequently, the being dimension is initially discovered to be distinct from any outward action or thinking, and this is a suitable place to start. You will eventually realize that it is not incompatible with things that take place outside of yourself. This is a fantastic practice because it demonstrates that you do not have to sit still in order to attain stillness. It is a type of presence that is achieved through movement. In English, the word stillness can have two different meanings. While the absence of noise is one interpretation of the term stillness, another interpretation of the term is that it refers to the absence of movement. For instance, when you say sit still, you are referring to the state of not moving at all. Within the English language, the absence of either noise or movement is referred to as stillness. Therefore, when we talk about stillness, you could imagine that in order to consciously perceive the being dimension, you must not move. This is a common misconception. After that, however, you discover that you are able to move around, and that doing so can actually be beneficial. You start with that, and after that, you are able to move forward with specific activities while maintaining your connection to that sense of being. If you want to avoid entirely immersing yourself in the activity, you can set goals for yourself to work toward, which are goals that fall under the category of doing. The existence of objectives is beneficial, despite the fact that there may be times in your life when you do not require any goals at all. Undoubtedly, after you reach a particular age, it becomes progressively futile to follow goals that you have set for yourself. At least by the time you reach the age of 95, you should not be pursuing any further ambitions unless you are required to do so for whatever reason. But even before that, there may be moments when the pursuit of goals is not required, and you can become more deeply immersed simply by being engaged in ordinary, everyday activity, without chasing any particular ambitious goal, regardless of how big or tiny it may be. There is nothing wrong with working towards something, but objectives belong to the domain of action, and that is perfectly acceptable. The issue emerges when the objective consumes such a significant portion of your attention that the meaning, the intended consequence, and the destination that you want to arrive at occupy a position in your mind that is too significant for you to handle. When the intended outcome takes up an excessive amount of mental space, it can become problematic. This is true whether the desired outcome is to pass an examination, achieve a particular position, or acquire mastery in a particular hobby. However, there are certain people who are consumed by their ambition. At the same time as they are trying very hard to achieve their objective, they are experiencing a great deal of unhappiness. This is nearly a literal statement, since they are in severe need of reaching that location. They are not only dissatisfied, but they are frequently filled with rage and fury when things do not go the way they would like them to. There are always going to be minor roadblocks, and they frequently take the form of individuals. It is obvious that they become angry. As a result, the entire journey turns into a place of sadness, stress, and turbulence, and it is frequently loaded with feelings that are highly toxic. They are not only responsible for their own misery, but they also bring misery to those who are in their immediate vicinity. If it is a large company, then the entire organization will experience tension and dissatisfaction. The ability to await gratification is a skill that is said to be necessary in order to accomplish anything in life, according to a proverb. To a certain extent, that is accurate. It is possible to have a young person who is studying in order to attend college, who studies even in the nights, and who only goes out on occasion. Their next-door neighbor, on the other hand, is unable to be bothered and is looking for instant pleasure. They begin drinking, and indulging in things that are not only intoxicating beverages, but also substances and other things, as well as hanging out in clubs and under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Where is the point of engaging in any activity? It appears that this is the case since, after a few years have passed, the individual who postponed gratification is able to do anything. The risk associated with that recipe for delayed gratification is that it can lead to the development of a mentality within you that you will be unable to shake after engaging in the practice of delayed gratification for a few years. Every time you reach a point of gratification, it is just for a few moments, and then you are forced to postpone it once more because you have another objective that is consuming your attention. That is the risk involved. All of this indicates that there is a lack of equilibrium, a life that is not balanced between the being dimension and the other dimensions. Due to the fact that you are so preoccupied with arriving and accomplishing, you are unable to appreciate anything that is happening in the here and now. One day, you set a timer for yourself, and you have the goal of reaching the peak of the mountain, or whatever it is that you are aiming for, the ultimate destination. The goal is to complete it within the next 6 hours. You set a timer for yourself and you are going to do the task. While you are on your way, you come across the most breathtaking flowers, the sky, and other magnificent natural wonders. One of the reasons you don't see any of that is because you are so eager to get there. It is up to you to complete this mission. At long last, you have arrived, but how was the voyage that led you here? Because you were unable to take in all of the splendor that was all around you, it was not very good. You were unable to halt, and as the proverb goes, you were unable to stop and take a leisurely stroll through the garden. If you were to pause for a second, you would see that the being dimension is already there in the instant. By acknowledging the current moment, it is impossible to separate it from it. The instant that we are currently experiencing is the gateway or entry point into the being dimension. In the event that you fail to achieve that, you may experience some victories, as the world refers to them, but considering that the entire path was a journey of unhappiness, those successes are relatively meaningless. You are still a stressed-out being, even after you have arrived at the location. I am not necessarily implying that this is the case for all people who are successful. It's possible that some people are able to maintain a state of equilibrium. As a matter of fact, I've come across a few people who are quite successful in the world, but they are not lost in the event. They are still able to appreciate the time that they are in right now. So, what about the concept of delayed gratification? What is the mechanism behind that? Having said that, is it even possible to alter your perspective? Is it possible for you to take pleasure in whatever it is that you are doing, rather than taking the approach of saying, okay, I have to delay gratification? Can you possibly experience gratification even with the practice, even before you get it mastery, even at the very beginning? For example, if you are studying for an exam or learning to play an instrument and you want to get good at it, and other people are playing around while you are practicing, the question is whether or not you can experience gratification. It is not impossible. Numerous activities can be carried out in such a way that you do not have to wait for fulfillment to come to you. There is the possibility that your perspective on the activity can shift, resulting in the task itself becoming more fulfilling in and of itself. When this occurs, there is no need to put off gratification, because it is possible that the gratification is already present in the here and now. Despite the fact that the world may tell you that you are accomplishing this in order to arrive, there are many things that can be enjoyed. However, it is merely a means to an end. When you start thinking like that, your entire existence will start to feel like a means to an end. What is the conclusion? You are never going to show up. What exactly is it? As a result of your actions, the current moment is being transformed into a means to an end. So, being reduced to the one thing that is ever real. The statement that you are making is, well, that's just a stepping stone. It is the pattern that occurs unconsciously. You are making an effort to arrive there. But here is never going to be sufficient. For what reason is it not sufficient? Mainly due to the fact that genuine goodness originates from that inner place, the recognition of being, which is the origin of all happy or joyful experiences. Please know that I am thankful that you have chosen to accompany me on this journey of self-discovery and consciousness. If this message connects with you, please leave a comment with your thoughts and think about subscribing to receive further content that is similar to this one. As we explore the beauties of life that exist beyond our heads, I invite you to accompany me on this journey toward enlightenment.